I've been unfortunate enough to suffer from acne since I was a teenager, all the way through, interestingly, until I started doing intermittent fasting. So anecdotally, intermittent fasting seems to cure acne. Now that's only anecdotally for me. It may not work for everybody. I've done a bit of research and it does seem to be that there is evidence to show that intermittent fasting and the benefits behind what happens during the fasting period of intermittent fasting as to why it affects acne in a positive way. Now, I started intermittent fasting around about 3 or so months ago, and when I first started intermittent fasting, I still had spots. Now, I haven't suffered from spots on my face like many people do. I had acne right up until I started intermittent fasting 3 months ago on my backside and around the bottom of my back. Now, I am fortunate in some ways. It sounds strange to say fortunate when you have acne, but the reason I say I'm fortunate is that I was able to cover it up. As long as I had shorts on, at the very least, or trousers, no one could ever see my acne. So I can sort of really feel for people who have acne on their face. So this is anecdotal evidence. Like I say, it may not work for everybody. And it's important to interject at this point in time that I'm not a doctor, and whatever I do, or whether I share a video on my Wellness Jump channel, I always back it up with some research. And let me just take you to that firstly, just to understand that the research does show that intermittent fasting has a benefit on acne. And I'm just going to take you to that research article now. This article is on PubMed Central and it's headed Fasting and its Impact on Skin Anatomy. And I'll pick out a particular sentence where it says, some studies found a strong relationship between a fasting type diet and acne in human adults and young subjects. In fact, during the period of caloric restriction, sebum level was found to be reduced by 40%, which influenced the degree of acne severity. So it's not just me and my anecdotal evidence. There is strong evidence to suggest that intermittent fasting does improve acne. And that the key here is in that article, it's talking about the sebum levels. Sebum is the oil on your skin. Now, your skin does need sebum because it protects your skin, but if you're overproducing sebum, that can help to clog up your pores and then a build-up of skin as well, and then bacteria gets in or gets blocked in, and that's what causes the horrible pussy acne that you get. And of course, some people then scratch it and it spreads it, and it's just not nice at all. And I've had all of that, and so I'm quite scarred on my backside as a result. So you may be wondering, if you don't know too much about it, what intermittent fasting is all about. Now, there are various forms of intermittent fasting. There's one called the 16-8, which is where you fast for 16 hours and then you eat during an 8-hour window. There's the 5-2, which is over a 7-day period. So for 5 days you eat pretty normally, and 2 days of the week, not necessarily consecutive, where you restrict your calories. Some talk about restricting it to below 500 calories on those restricted days. Now, I've chosen the 16-8 method of intermittent fasting, and like I say, I've been doing that for 3 months now, so I'm consistently doing it. That's my new lifestyle. That's what I'm going to be doing, hopefully, for the rest of my life. Now, many of the studies around intermittent fasting, and there have been a lot of them, and there are a lot of benefits, in addition to seemingly to cure acne, are not in younger people, like teenagers, and they don't seem to go much beyond about 65. Now, I'm 60, so I'm hopefully living proof that it works in 60-year-olds. But I think you just have to be cautious with the studies. And also, many of those studies are around mice and other animals other than humans. And whilst mice are very different to humans, there are many similarities, not least that we're both mammals and we have many of the similar systems within us. But the important thing is that the actual mechanism that kicks in as a result of the fasting period is innate in humans, but it's also innate in all other animals that walk the planet, be that mice, elephants, giraffes, etc., because we all stem from the same evolutionary source. And that is part of our survival mechanism. So what actually kicks in when you're in the fasting period is not just there's a metabolic switch where you change from your body running on glycogen stores to running on ketones, which is as a result of burning fats, which is a mechanism built in to us. And that's part of a survival mechanism, because when we were running around the planet hunting, we were hunter-gatherers, when there was excessive amounts of food, we would build up fat stores. And then when we weren't able to get food, our bodies would run on that fat until such time that we could find food again, hopefully. Now, of course, in modern society, we don't have to worry about finding food. We just pop down the supermarket, we go down to the local takeaway, or we get a delivery to our house, and eating is very, very easy. In fact, it's probably far too easy, because people are eating at least 3 meals a day, they're snacking in between, and you become addicted to eating, addicted to sugar. And that is not a good thing, because when you're eating all the time, you're eating so much, your insulin levels keep spiking, and then you get all of these diseases associated with overeating. Now, I don't want to digress too much into that, but those are part of the other reasons why I'm intermittent fasting, because you get all those other health benefits. You know, you improve insulin resistance, you can cure type 2 diabetes, any heart problems, circulatory problems, blood pressure problems. All of these are improved as a result of the fasting period of intermittent fasting. Now, as I mentioned before, I'm not a doctor, and I would recommend, and certainly if you're on any form of medication, that you do speak with your doctor before you embark upon intermittent fasting. And perhaps also if you're at either end of the scale, of the age scale, so in your teens or over 65. Now, if you stick around and keep watching my channel when I get to 65 and above, then that'll be anecdotal evidence that intermittent fasting is a good thing. Now, the important part of what I'm doing as a result of intermittent fasting is another benefit, is that I'm actually eating less, but because I'm eating less and I've got less of an opportunity to eat food, I'm actually eating healthier too. And it's important that when you're intermittent fasting, that you don't break your fast and eat during that 8-hour window, if you choose to do the 16-8 like me, that you're eating really unhealthy foods. So there's no point in fasting for 16 hours and then binging on McDonald's and chocolates and sweets and donuts, because eating that type of food is not good for you in the first place. There's nothing wrong with, having the odd treat. I mean, we went to some friends last night that we know just outside of San Diego, as it happens, and we had dessert, which was tiramisu. Now, that's pretty unhealthy as a food, but everything in moderation. So I encourage you to also slightly improve your diet as well when you are intermittent fasting. And I will pop up a video either side that will come up to show you what I do most of the time, more when I'm back in the UK, because you can't bring all of the stuff with you. But I have managed to find some of the stuff and I make it into a shake, and that's how I generally break my fast. And I encourage you to have a look at that video, because it certainly is a good way to break your fast. And that came about, as it happens, because I was suffering from bloating and all the horrible things that can happen when you first start intermittent fasting, and that helps to settle your stomach. It's a great way, of a healthy way, including nuts and all sorts of great nutrients, to break your fast and make sure you're getting all those healthy nutrient benefits as a result of changing your lifestyle, if you like. Now, one thing you will find if you do go down the route of choosing to do intermittent fasting to cure your acne is that when you first start, you will find it difficult. And I would suggest that you don't necessarily go straight to 16 hours if you're going to do the 16-8. Maybe start by going to fasting for 12 hours. And it's recommending that the fasting period is during your sleep cycle. So when you finish eating, make a note of when you finish eating, and then add forward 12 hours, and that's when you first start eating. So do that for a few days, and then maybe extend that to 13 hours and 14 hours and so on. And if you feel hungry during that fasting period, or when you first wake up, have a black coffee. And it's important that it's a black coffee, i.e. no creamer, no sugar, because otherwise that will break your fast and you'll have an insulin spike and you'll lose some of the benefits. Also, drink some water. So if I start to feel my stomach rumbling, I will drink some water, and I drink a lot more water because there's other benefits associated with making sure you're well hydrated, in addition to helping to stop that hunger. And also it helps to flush out your system. But importantly, don't drink too much water because again, that can be quite bad for you. But as long as you drink within moderation, that's actually a very good thing too. Another thing to add, when I was doing some research, I actually came across a video of a lady doing an extended fast to cure her acne. And she was actually doing a water fast for 7 days. Now, I'm not going to recommend that you do that, but interestingly, her acne did clear up after those 7 days, but that's quite an extreme thing to do. It has a lot of benefits. For example, one of the benefits of intermittent fasting is something called autophagy. Now, effectively, autophagy is, again, part of this automatic, innate survival mechanism within your body where your body goes around to clean up the body. So it uses or cleans up old dead cells, potentially cancer cells and so on, and recycles those nutrients within your body, and that's a very good thing. So the longer you fast for, the more autophagy kicks in, the more ketones kick in, and then you'll burn more fat. But that's a very tough thing to do. I have extended my fast on a few occasions to 24 hours, but I wouldn't suggest that you need to do a 7-day fast to get rid of your acne if that's what you're doing the fasting for. What I was interested to find out is that around about 50 to 60 million people in the US have actually got acne. The majority of people that have acne are probably between the ages of 12 to 24, depending on when their hormones start to change. Probably about 85% of 12 to 24-year-olds do have some level of acne. Now, it's not often that it extends beyond that. I was one of those people that it did extend. So if you're an older person and you have acne, there is hope for you. And hopefully, if you do intermittent fasting, please come back and tell me if it's cured your acne too. And the best way to be able to know where you are and to come back here, if you just click the subscribe button down below, then you'll get updated with other videos that I'm doing about intermittent fasting, but also be able to find me quicker, because I really, really want to hear back from you if you've actually started intermittent fasting, you've got acne. It doesn't matter what age you are, but if you are an older person like myself and you've got acne and this has helped you, that will help other people, because hopefully they'll read the comments and get some insight from other people that are doing this too. The research into this area is very limited. My results are anecdotal, and really and truly the only way for you to find out whether intermittent fasting will help your acne like it did with me is to try it. As I said, all the caveats before about checking with your doctor before you do so, and perhaps if you're pregnant, not a good idea to intermittent fast. But one of the caveats I would say about speaking to a doctor about intermittent fasting is that not all doctors understand intermittent fasting to the same depth that some of the doctors that suggest that you do intermittent fasting do. And they may be quite cautious. So I think the ideal would be to find a doctor that does know about intermittent fasting and the benefits of it, and discuss your particular circumstances with them, what diseases you may have, what drugs you're taking, and so on. And it's important that you are cautious and that you stay fit, strong and healthy. Well, thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.